Well, it's 6:34. This is Mayor Ted Yates. So we'll call the meeting to order, and then we'll start with oath of office. So. Brian, you want to do that?
Sure.
Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Brian Steele.
I, Brian Steele.
Hereby swear
Hereby swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the laws of
the Constitution and laws of
the United States of America,
the United States of America,
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio, the Charter
What's up?
of ordinances,
Nothing new here.
resolutions
Same old, same old.
of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio, and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties as a member of the Eagles Advisory Board,
Glen Eagles Advisory,
to the best of my ability,
best of my ability,
trust and honor to God.
and so help me God.
What's that?
I didn't know it was the formal.
Oh, well, we gotta do that, so.
Sir, that I will support you. Constitution and laws of the United States of America. State of Ohio. The Charter.
Those different boxes up there today.
Thank you, sir.
No.
All right, Julie, I have raised your right hand, sir. I, Andre Miller.
I, Andre Miller,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support the Constitution and laws
the United States of America,
of the United States of
the
America,
Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the State of Ohio,
of the State of Ohio,
the Charter,
the Charter, ordinances, and resolutions
of the City of Twinsburg,
of
Ohio,
the City of Twinsburg, Ohio,
and I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Glen Eagles Advisory Board
of member of the Glen Eagle Advisory Board
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
trust and honor to God.
so answer to God.
Sign these. Take one.
This is the hard part going down.
No, I know. There's not a railing.
All right. I, John Gibbons, do hereby swear that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the State of Ohio, the Charter, ordinances, and resolutions of the City of Twinsburg, Ohio, and I will faithfully, honestly, impartially, discharge the duties as a member of the Glen Eagles Advisory Board to the best of my ability, trust and honor to God. Award you. I, Kevin Walker,
I, Debbie Walker,
hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the
discharge duties
under oath and report
as a member of the Young Eagles Advisory Board
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
To the best of my ability.
as I shall after that.
All right. All right, I've got that. You hereby swear that I will support and defend the Constitution and laws
Yeah, I'll do.
Congratulations, Scott.
All right, at this time, the board needs to elect a chairperson and a vice chairperson. So I can kind of turn it over. John's done this before, so if you want to ask for nominations and go from
We'll
there.
accept nominations from the floor for the position of chairman.
I'd like to, I'd like to make a motion for John Gadinsky for chairperson.
I'll second that. Yeah.
Second. All right.
All right,
Any other nominations? Nominations be closed unless second.
I'll make a recommendation for Andre Miller.
Okay. Andre? Okay.
I'll second that.
Second nomination? Okay. Mayor, we do this by a show of hands,
Or you call the roll, or?
or call roll, or?
we can, so how about we make this simpler? If you want, I mean, one of you could decide to be vice chair or chair.
I have no idea what the duties or responsibilities
So
are.
so John's been through this before, so
Explanation of that.
we'll start off with John as chair and you as vice chair, Andre. How's that sound?
Good.
Okay.
All right, so all in favor of John being chairman and Andre being vice chair, please say aye.
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 All right,
And it'll be
Good.
next year. Okay.
all right.
All right.
All right, so I'll turn the meeting over to John.
Okay. Going through the agenda here, we have no previous minutes, do we, Mayor?
No, I
Okay.
wasn't provided any.
Okay. So then we'll go through and do we have any comments, questions otherwise from the audience? Okay, well, yeah, usually there aren't a whole lot of people at these, but I will, I think I'll wait until we get down to number 8 for any other things. We'll let Brian and Jim present their reports. And, you know, if we have any questions of them, we'll wait till they have finished. Okay? Brian, they have you on the agenda first.
Okay, thank you, John. I have a financial report I'll present to you guys in just a few seconds here, just from the beginning of the year through May 16th through yesterday. Kind of catch you guys up. We're supposed to have a meeting in March, I believe, but we don't know when was the last time we even had a true meeting. So I'll kind of back it up to the off season, moving into this season for us. It was obviously last year, for those who do not know, it was a premium year. It was one of our best years that we ever had. COVID obviously had something to do with that, but the weather has 100% to do with that. So moving into this year, our off-season bookings over the winter time was the best we've ever had, with over 600,000 pre-booked before the season even started. So that was a great start to the season as far as that's concerned. We had multiple leagues that we added during the weekdays, which are evening leagues, 4 through 6, Monday through Thursday. We had a couple of those, and we also had other leagues that were there who expanded as well. So, excuse me. So we're off to, at least on the books for this season, we're off to a great start. The weather had another idea for us to start this season. So we've had a slow start to the season weather-wise. We did increase our prices again this year, moving into the season. I think it's the third time in 5 years, if I can remember back 5 years ago. So, you know, moving forward this year, we're predicting another great season, actually more rounds and more revenue than last year. But obviously Mother Nature plays a major role in doing that. So the report, I'll just kind of let Jim start and pass one down. It's just revenue that we have in through May 16th. I'll give you guys a few seconds just to take a look at that. Fortunately, it's not the news we want to see at this point, but we're doing our best, and I will say in the last couple weeks of May, we've actually, which is unusual because we're never closed, so we have actually made up a little ground in the first couple weeks of May. It's been really nice so far. After April, we were down almost $60,000 going into May, so not the ideal start, but we catching up a little bit so far. Our rounds compared to last year are down 700 moving forward. So hopefully the weather continues, we can continue the pace. I can tell you that since last Monday, it has been all hands on deck. We're still, trying to get full staff, which honestly, I don't know if we will ever get a full staff again, at least for the rest of this season. So it's been tough, but the last 2 weeks have been great. Official league play opened up last week, so we're on our second full week of leagues this week. So the revenue numbers are really starting to show that. We're doing a little catch up, which is great news. So with the sales sheet that you have, the revenue sheet you have in front, it's just I have obviously at the bottom there, just the daily sales, 21 compared to 22, or just to break it down with greens fees, card fees. The miscellaneous is a lot to do with different things like our gin handicap system, stuff like that comes through that has a lot of signups at the beginning of the year. And I just leave food and beer in there, obviously with no numbers because we missed those numbers. But pro shop range and sales tax are kind of how we break it down. But I can always elaborate on more numbers outside the meeting. If you have any questions, email me if you have any questions for specific items that we do there. So.
Does anyone have any questions for Brian at this time?
What was it?
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, I just have a question. What's your role?
I'm the head golf professional.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I've got to hit the reset button. A lot of
Yeah.
new smiley faces over there.
Okay.
Yeah,
And some of
Brian runs all the course business operations, and Jim runs the maintenance side. He's the superintendent, runs the maintenance side.
Okay.
Okay.
And then, what was the initial cost for golf, and now what is it? Like, what is it going up?
We went up $1 from last year on all our greens
Okay.
fees. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not the highest in the area, but we're one of the
Okay,
upper tiers as far as the public muni courses, so to speak.
gotcha.
What are the league fees?
League fee 17 to walk, 25 to ride.
Say it again.
17 to walk,
Okay.
25 to ride.
Yeah, but how much is it for a person to form a league, to join the Glen Eagles as a league?
Oh, that doesn't cost anything.
That doesn't?
Yeah. If Andre Miller want to start his league and we have an open spot for 16 plus players,
Really?
we'll take you, yes.
There's no spots, but just in case.
Yeah,
you're
there's no
thinking.
spot. The waiting list is about seven deep right now.
Okay. So if it's 10 or 100 and something, it's still free?
Well, there's,
And the league.
I wouldn't say free. I would
Par
say
five.
I would say $2,500 per night for 100 and $250 for 10. Yeah. Yeah. There's no league initiation holding fees or whatever that is. But yeah, we'll lose all our leagues if we ever try anything like that.
Really?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
So, Brian, a couple quick questions. We're in the upper tier in terms of munis. Have we raised our senior rates in comparison to our other rates? Are they in line?
Yeah, everything we've done the last three,
By percentage?
it has been every single greens fee rate.
Okay,
Seniors, juniors, weekends,
okay,
or specials, whatever it may be. Yes, everything has gone up.
okay. And the other question, and I don't know, and again, because this has stuff to do with food and beverage, the cost per golfer for golf for an outing, just golf. Do you have a fixed rate on that, or does that go in with the catering?
So our new rate that the number we've been working with for the last 2 years, Monday through Thursday is the only time we're going to do certain outings unless we're advised to do otherwise. We charge $5,000 if John Kandinsky wanted to do a golf outing.
Okay, so it's not
Golf course would
individually,
get-
it's for the course?
Yes, it's for the course shutdown, correct.
Okay, because that's a question I get on my street, so, okay. Anyone else have any questions for Brian at this time? Okay, Jim?
All right, good evening, everybody, and congratulations on being sworn in. Looking forward to working with you. Going back to the off-season, winter maintenance was completed on all the equipment by mid-March. That was all done in-house. We were also able to remove several dead trees around the golf course when there wasn't snow on the ground. As Brian mentioned, it's been a very wet spring, and we are trying to get caught up from the soggy conditions that we had in March and April. I'm sure that everybody can contest to that from their own personal properties. There are some challenges we are dealing with, such as supply chain issues, getting parts and supplies. I don't think it's just a golf thing. I think obviously with what's going on around the country, it's been really challenging to get some of those items in. A lot of these items have been back ordered or not available. We are also dealing with much higher cost on fuel and diesel fuel. A lot of our equipment takes diesel fuel, so we're about, $5.40 a gallon or so right now, I think. And we do have some staffing issues too, as Brian mentioned. We are receiving applications, but unfortunately we go through the hiring process, we get applicants in, and then they leave for better opportunities because there's a lot of help wanted signs out there. So I've had 3 hired and then 3 leave, so pretty quick. So we'll see how this year goes. I think it's going to be a challenge throughout the season, as Brian mentioned. Some of the maintenance items that we are working on or that have been completed, aeration of greens and tees. They were done in the spring and healed in great, real fast. Mowing of all the plain areas. The turf is actively growing at this time. We are maintaining about 200 plus acres weekly without too much staff right now. Alongside with mowing, we have bunker maintenance, which includes edging, weeding, and raking, clubhouse grounds maintenance, driving range maintenance, and the grass tee was open for the season on May 9th. And that schedule is for the maintenance. We take care of the driving range practice facility area on Mondays and Thursdays. Brian's team, the pro shop staff, does a great job on the evenings on Sunday night and Wednesday night to get all the golf balls up, and then our staff will go ahead and maintain the range on Monday morning and Thursday morning. And depending how much we have to do on the range that day, it usually takes 5 hours or so, probably till about 6 to 11, about 11 o'clock. Other items, we've been preparing the pavilion for weddings also as well. We just had one last week, so we had to we had staff up there. We had to move all the picnic tables out of the pavilion, trim up that whole area, as well as clean out the woods. So that took some time too. That was done on last Thursday. Aqueduct pond management treatments have started. We have 3 ponds on the golf course that are maintained by them for algae and weed control. And they come out about every 2 weeks, and that process started and will go through the early fall. An improvement that was done on the golf course, we appreciate all the hard work and efforts the service department does around the city. They also have some resources that helps the golf course quite a bit too as well. So they came out and did a little cart path repair on hole 18. We had some areas that were kind of roughed up from some tree roots and some other things, and they came out and we did some paving there. Possibly, depending how the year goes, there's a couple of other areas around the golf course they may get to depending on your schedule, because they're very busy too as well. So we appreciate their help. And then lastly, Glen Eagles was, which was, I think, a tribute to all of us, was rated number 8 of roughly 230 golf courses in Ohio from golfers on Golf Advisor, which is a website. And the link would be Golf Pass 2022 Best Ohio Golf Courses. And they put us at number 8 based on a lot of reviews and chatter around that. So I think that was something to be proud of for all of us. And that concludes my report.
Just maybe introduce your, a little background on your assistant superintendent. So Jim had an assistant superintendent that ended up getting pulled back over to service department to be a foreman, and Jim went out for a lengthy search, and maybe you can tell about his background and everything.
We hired a new full-timer that replaced our, as the mayor mentioned, our previous assistant who went to the service department. His name is Joe Coucher. And his background is he has an associate degree in turf grass management from the Ohio State University, and his was the one of the assistants over at Kirtland Country Club. And he ended up interviewing really well, and I think he's going to provide a positive impact for us and help us out. And he started in March. So I'm working with him, getting him trained. It's a learning process for him, even though he's well equipped and has some experience, but going from a elite country club to a municipal, there's some challenges there. But we're excited to have him aboard, and as of right now, he's doing a really good job.
Jim, Coucher is the last?
Coucher with a T.
Oh, okay.
Joe Coucher.
How old is Joe?
How old is he?
Yeah.
I'm not sure his exact age.
About.
Upper 20s, lower 30s.
Okay, he's got all the certs he needs to do everything out there?
He does.
Okay.
He has what I have. Yeah, he has
Okay.
He has his commercial pesticide license. I'm a Class A superintendent. Obviously, he's not at that point, but he does have a commercial applicator's license, as well as his associate degree in turf.
Okay.
Questions for Jim? And Mayor, this may be more directed towards you than Jim, as we are so short-staffed. I'm not sure the terms of our lease agreement with Burntwood, but we're moving stuff and setting up for their weddings. Is that part of our agreement to do that?
So we don't set up for their weddings. I think Jim was saying that he got picnic tables out of there that were stored there over the winter.
No.
But I don't know. I mean, you can answer. I don't think that we spend time setting up for them.
Our guys were setting up chairs.
We took the chairs up to the pavilion.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, and
Yeah.
don't get me wrong, if that's part of the agreement, that's fine, but by the same token, when it's 90 degrees, I'd sure like to see a cart girl out there. And they say, oh, we can't do that.
Yeah, we're working with them. I know we had an issue recently. Well, it's kind of an ongoing issue, but I had a meeting with them to kind of debrief over what happened last season. I met with a regional representative as well as the local manager to discuss their snack bar operations and the cart issue. And their intent is to start the snack bar at 8 o'clock and to have a cart during all active play. They're running through the same thing as we are, because I got an email recently that I just responded to, and they responded to also. They've hired people, but they're waiting for high school to be done and college to be done so these kids can start. So staffing is hitting everywhere. I mean, we're evaluating, we went from $8 to $9 an hour to $12 last year, and we're looking at, where do we need to go because we can't hire people and depend on them, and then they quit to go get free tacos at Taco Bell at $15 an hour, you know? So it's a tough situation, but Burntwood is in that same situation, but there's ongoing dialogue to try to make sure we alleviate that.
Yeah,
But again, I think that, I mean, you know, I don't know that it's a pattern to help set up their pavilion for weddings and stuff, but it's probably just all hands on deck trying to make sure that one side of the business complements the other.
Well, you know, we have nothing to do with that business side other than the fact that, you know, what becomes an amenity for a golfer. I think that's all that we can be concerned with.
Yeah, but
You know,
it isn't.
I have, you know, came to the meeting tonight with 3 guys on my street. Can you get us coffee in the morning and can we get Gatorade in the afternoon?
Yeah.
And I think those are legitimate things.
Yeah.
But I said, I don't know what our lease agreement is.
Yeah.
And, you know, if we're working toward it, fine. And everybody's in the same boat in terms of getting help. Jim, I was going to ask you, you've got 5 guys right now, correct?
We have 9 on paper,
But,
but they're not, but we don't, till school lets out.
Right,
Roughly
okay.
5, 6. Yeah.
okay. And Brian, I know you're dying up there because guys are sick and people who, veteran people are no longer there, so. And I saw the thing on Facebook and everywhere else that you know, seeking volunteers. You know, I think that's the first time we really had to resort to that, but nobody wants to work. You know?
That's been a problem for a long time. I mean,
Yeah,
for me, I saw that before all this hit.
yeah,
And what's challenging too, I mean, our operation is 99% seasonal.
yeah.
So, I mean, we're competing for full-time jobs that are out there with
Right.
benefits. You know, we're looking for seasonal staff to get us
Yeah.
through the winter time, so.
Brian, dead middle of the summer, what's our earliest tee time?
Weekdays, 6:54, weekends, 6:15, 6:30, something like that, 6.
Okay.
You know, golf times are weird, 6:17,
I'm just-
6:07.
If they're not going to open up the snack bar till 8, is there any way we can get something for the guys to get the first tee times? They're headed out at 6:15. It's going to be probably 80. I know every time I play up there, I'm over at the snack bar to get a Coke or something, even in weather. I got one today when I played. I just would think that those first guys, those first tee times, 6:15, that means we've got, what are we teeing off, every 8 minutes?
Every 9 minutes.
Every 9 minutes.
You said 6:50, right, didn't you? You said 6:50?
On the weekends, so the
Weekends.
weekends at 6:15.
6:15.
Okay.
I mean, you're looking at what? Every 9 minutes, probably 5 or 6 groups going off, 20 guys that are going off that may not have.
Yeah, we get about
Is there,
32 players an hour.
Okay,
32.
an hour.
Close, yeah.
So how many are we going to have from 6:15?
We got
24.
about 50, 60 players on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, I can talk with them about, I mean, it's probably unlikely that we get them to open up at 6 a.m. in the morning. I mean, I just,
No, I
I
just
mean,
wonder if there's a way
there,
that we can get somewhere or
I
something.
think didn't they do a little bit of that last year? Didn't they set out a coffee pot, or was there anything that,
When they get there, they put out just a Gatorade thing of water and coffee.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of like turning a cruise ship. I'm working with them right now, dealing with their staff, and, you know, they've been receptive to wanting to learn more about the golf business. This is something completely new for them. So, I mean, they're used to coming in at 9 or 9:30 to start prepping for lunch and dinner. So, I mean,
They're not opening until 11.
right, we're pushing, so we're pushing them right now.
What about if they were, whether the city provides it or they provide it, either Pepsi or Coke will place a machine for free and you get a percentage of the, so putting some sort of, I don't know if that's, I don't know etiquette wise if that's not something you would do at a golf course, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we want to have a machine sitting up by the range, but I can discuss, I mean, this is kind of an ongoing topic that we've had with them, so
that's
it's,
just a super easy fix. You call
Yeah.
Coke, they'll bring a machine out within a couple days, they fill it, they empty it, and then they write you a check at the end of the month for whatever your portion of, so whether it's the city or them, I just think that it's going to provide at least cold drinks to people. I don't know, just a thought. It's easy.
Well-
I think it's easy.
and then at 8 o'clock, we put a cover over it so that,
You can turn it
I
off.
mean, so no one uses it, you know?
No, there's a
I
way
mean,
to turn them off. You can turn them off and so
Yeah.
that they don't, you can control
Yeah,
function and don't function.
yeah, I mean, I think this is, like I said, this is kind of an ongoing issue, and we're currently having dialogue with them and hoping to try to work out something as the best we can to try to start that path of making sure that when there's golfers there, there's things for the golfers to be able to get.
Yeah. I know that the original portion of the lease, they're into it 3 years. They can open it up or renegotiate at that point in time, or are we to that point to put a codicil in there to do that, or?
So at the end of, I believe at the end of 23, or the end of 22, we have our first evaluation of basically the books, and then the lease would take an increase on a certain percentage based on their revenue. They also have an out after a couple of
Yes.
years if they're not doing a certain amount. I've not received any indication that they have any desire to get out, and I mean it's a good provider there. So, you know,
Yeah, I just wanted to see it a little more golfer friendly.
Oh, we all are on that same page. There's no question about that.
No.
That's been, and if you talk to them, you would get that same message that I've been sharing with them for ever since I took over in, you know, the first end of the first season. Because I mean, we had 37,000 rounds come through there last year. I mean, that's a lot of bodies that, you know, they should be capitalizing on.
I've talked to Jim about this already. Now that I live on the golf course, my experience with the geese has become increased tenfold. And we have geese where we've never had geese before on the course. This is not a golf course only problem, because I'm up at Liberty Field watching my grandson's softball or baseball game, and we got geese all over the place. I think it's, talking with Jim, this has become a citywide issue, and I mean, we're being inundated with geese, and at some point in time, we may have to do a city culling of geese, and I you know, 'cause
I know we shake eggs and do other things to try to prohibit the growth of the geese population, but I guess I don't know that we can have open range on geese.
no. When I say culling,
A lot of golfers would volunteer to help.
and they're no longer an endangered species; they're just a protected species. But
Yeah.
no, they come out, they round them with nets and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
The DNR will come and do part of that for us. I'm just wondering if I'm out of line in asking to pursue something like that, because they are certainly a nuisance on the golf course. They're pretty much a nuisance if you're a resident anywhere else in the city. And we certainly have a tough time with little kids on the ball diamonds with them. So,
Yeah. I mean, Jim, have you noticed a difference in the population, or is it?
No, it's interesting. It's up and down, Mayor.
Yeah.
Like this past winter, it wasn't as bad, and I really think I attribute that to the snow cover.
Yeah.
When we've had years where there wasn't a lot of snow cover, I thought it was worse. So I thought this year was a little bit better, but we are starting to get some fly-ins. So every year is a little bit different, but I thought over the winter, I thought it was better.
Yeah.
Whether the snow had something to do with it, I don't know.
It seems to me that over the years, the best job we had done with the geese was when Johnny was there with his lab, and we had a dog.
And Jack.
And Jack, our old animal warden, used to take his 2 dogs up there and let them run. Is there any way we could find somebody that wants to walk their dog in the morning, a couple people, one on each side, and have their dogs chase the geese away? Because the one thing I've always been told, if you keep the geese moving, they will not come back. They'll put up with it for 3 or 4 days, and then they're gone. And the other thing that I had experience with geese when I was working up in Beechwood, the maintenance guy, director of maintenance for the school system, found somewhere on Amazon fake coyotes. Okay.
I think they,
And he bought 2 of those. He put them at the building that I was at, and they were god-awful, hideous-looking things, okay? I mean, we had people come in going, what's that animal out there in front? But you know what? He moved it around during the week. 10 days after he put them out, they left. They didn't come back. And I'm just wondering, maybe a couple of those. And I don't think, if I remember rightly, they were very expensive. I mean, I don't think they were $50 a piece. But they seem to have worked. From my own experience, I mean, our geese are destructive. I mean, the 1 par 3 hole by the lake, they've dug holes in that thing every year trying to get the sand so they can get in their gullet and digest the grass. I've seen 18 green a couple of times that you didn't have a direct line from anywhere on that green to the hole because there was piles of all over the place. In what it was 18 fairway one time, it seemed like there was 200 yards down the fairway from rough to rough, that in order to hit your golf ball, you had to take your club and move the goose poop to get a clear shot. Okay, they are a pain in the butt, and it is something that we need to do. Did we not buy a couple of green lasers?
We did. We tried some of the things that we tried. Tried the lasers, just didn't seem to do much. We've had those, trying to get them moving a little bit. We're constantly chasing them. Same with pro shop staff when they can,
Right.
with our vehicles and stuff. We've tried Mylar tape. That didn't really do anything. I've been in contact with ODNR as well, and we've all talked about the same type of
Right.
recommendations, and we've done the egg shaking too as well. Everything that we have done, and in conversation with them, they said that that's about the best we can do, with the exception of what John mentioned, if there's some sort of a roundup of some sort, I don't know.
The culling,
I know
like we do with you.
pretty costly, and then also, a lot of times, the timing's got to be there, because I think it's got to be a time frame, and I think it's in June where they don't fly as much, and then they come in and actually round them up, but then they got to be there for them to round up,
Right.
and then you got to pay, and if you have 200 birds and it's $100 a bird, or I don't know what, they can get pretty pricey, and then it's very possible they can come right back.
Right.
So it's this.
Is there, Mayor, would there be a problem if would you have a problem, Jim, if somebody who lived up there we looked at them and said, come on out and walk your dog, and if they chase the geese, they chase the geese?
I mentioned that actually to a few people that have, that walk their dogs in the morning on a leash, and I have said to a few, hey, did they chase? And some.
Well, yeah, some do, some don't.
do. So in conversation, they don't want to let them go off the leash.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. There
Maybe
was
we
that
could
one
teach-
guy up there that used to walk his Springer Spaniels or some hunting dogs.
He passed.
Yeah, that dog passed, yeah. Maybe we'll get Caesar to learn how to chase geese. Help
We tried to
exercise him a little bit.
We tried temporarily too, but I've had some calls from the residents, but we've had the shell cracker gun, and that is effective. It sounds like a gun is going off, and it's legal. We shoot it up in the air. It's just like a blank.
Right.
Makes a move, but, you know, if they're on 4, we'll hit it, they'll take off from 4,
They'll be over on 6.
then they're on 18.
Right.
And so it's kind of back and forth a little bit. And Brian's tried his air horn before from the pro shop. That's been effective a little bit. So we are taking as many measures as we can, as well as, you know, not taking away time from working on the golf course.
Well,
Well, I've been to a couple of courses where they've set out aisles,
Yeah.
And for the
you know,
volleyball,
where
we
they
tried
congregate,
swans.
they sit the aisles there. And it's been, I don't play there as much as I play Glen Eagle, so I couldn't tell you if it was effective, but it was effective when I was there. So those little clay aisles, you sit them where they congregate, and that seems to scare them off.
yeah, when I spent a day with ODNR and the guy, and we talked about it, 20 different things. He said, still the best thing is to get a dog.
And I've been to a couple of courses where the dogs chase them too.
And,
But then the dogs get in the way.
well, I know, talking about the coyotes, they also have remote control coyotes that you put out, and they will actually run up and down the fairway. And, you know, the geese really can't figure out what they are. And, but, you know, if it's become much bigger than just the golf course, then we probably need to look at a bigger
Yes.
solution.
Yes.
And, you know, I know I've talked to Jim about this over the years. It's just, you know, but I've noticed in walking the golf course, the geese where I never saw geese before. And that just tells me that, you know, something's got to change, you know, so, okay. I don't want to belabor that. Does anybody else have any other questions for, you know,
So I do have,
sure,
it might be a tough question, so,
okay.
sorry, Ted.
That's fine.
So, in regards to the property tax that they were evaluating, where are we at with that?
No, it's still in the auditor's office. I
Is it?
mean,
Okay.
we monitor it, and I
Okay.
mean, but there's been no decision made on that yet.
Okay,
So,
and is there a plan in place if it goes either way? Are there like, so if they do assess us the back taxes for the property, is there a plan in place how that's gonna get paid?
No, other than just pay it, and it would probably be a portion of. It would just be a portion of the taxes. It wouldn't be, again, the full tax bill. But there's nothing in the lease, if that's what you're getting at. Nothing in the lease that's a triple net type lease that would push any of that onto the provider. But
And because I just so, because I know the schools are looking at putting on a levy, and just want to make sure that the taxpayers are aware of like a potential additional something if there were, I don't know how you would pay for it, is what I'm saying. So if there's going to be, whether you're going to use inside millage, or I don't know what you would do. So
well, we would be able to pay it out of, I mean, our general fund budget and operations. I mean, it's not going to be like $10 million. I mean, it's, you know, it's, I mean, I don't,
what is it, like $250 a year?
it could be, I guess, at the high end of that, but again, I mean, it's something that would just come out of our, come out of our operations. I mean, we're not gonna pursue a tax levy for an additional $250 a year on, you know, on a $50 million budget.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just, but it. So what? How many years are they going? What are they looking at? We're in what, year 3 of them evaluating, or 2?
Year 2, I mean, so the CAP management group took over like September, October of 21, maybe. I believe 21. When did COVID start? 20?
20. March of
Maybe 20. So so 21 was their first full season. So this is their second full season there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So potentially we're at like 500,000.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't comment on those numbers. Yeah.
But I guess just from a perspective of like, and just, I mean, for council and everybody, just so that everything's transparent, people know what to expect. That's all. I just think that.
No, I mean, yeah. Every time it's come up, we don't have any more information than what we've shared so far. Yeah.
And there's they haven't set a date as to when they're going to make that determination.
But this is probably a council discussion, not really a golf advisory discussion. So, but
no, well, I guess in regards to, I get that, but it is the golf property. So I was just curious as to, because then it comes back to, people are gonna evaluate it as a golf expense per se, potentially. And that's all.
Okay.
I was curious,
Yeah.
and so, just conversation.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right?
Just on the number of players and Brian, when you talk about the number of, you've used it in the past when I've talked to you about it, the number of starts. And you use that as either 9 holes or 18. Am I
Correct.
correct? Okay. So just so you guys, the new people know, number of starts is the number of individual players that are there either on a 9-hole basis or on an 18-hole basis. Okay. It depends. When we say we raised our greens fees, okay, we're about tapped out, or at least last year. I mean, we couldn't squeeze any more people on the course than what we had last year. So it's not a thing that we could, we have to be competitive on greens fees, but we can't raise a lot of money for the golf course
Right.
by raising green fees, because we're 37,000 whatever starts, and if we're only getting $1 more around, it's only $37,000. So
Wait, is there 600,000?
Yeah, that's $600,000 paid up front.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
is that paid up front, Brian, or is that
Oh, that's
just
just on the books.
anticipated
but-
revenue coming?
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so if June becomes a rainstorm all month, that will drop because the weather has a large impact on what happens.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
best
course,
thing-
I was gonna say, the course did about 1.2 million last year and probably was one of the lowest subsidy
Sure.
years that
52.
we had.
52
Yeah.
you were, which is the best it's been
Yeah.
since about
Right.
year 3.
Mhm.
And again, and not having all the financial stuff here and not, and how much of, how much of that is credited to restaurant utilities, things like that, that's all built in, there's just a lot of money there. But as I said back in March, that's the lowest it's been in such a long time. And, I think last year was a banner year for golf courses. The best thing that can happen to a golf course, and the worst thing happening to a superintendent, is to have a drought. That way you can play every day, but he's going crazy because he's got to make the grass grow. So, it was, probably a banner year. Brian, I have one more question. What year are we in with our lease with the golf carts?
We purchased those.
But our purchase.
We own them.
Are they all paid off? We didn't pay
Yes.
them all off, did we?
Yeah, we paid them all.
Yeah, they were paid.
They were
Okay.
paid. They were paid up cash up front. So, yeah, we should be.
You should be into an escrow account getting ready to replace.
Well, we're working on right now. I mean, Brian, you can jump in, but I mean, right now we're working on replacement of batteries. Those are the one things. The carts are in good shape, so we're working on battery replacement. Some was budgeted this year for that, but I mean, we looked at it was about a 2.5 year return on investment in terms of what would pay them off. So I mean, right now, if you look at what we've invested in the carts, I mean, they're positive income coming in.
Yeah, and they're supposed to be. That was one of the reasons to build the thing up there was to get a cart barn for them. So the only way golf courses make money is through the carts. Your greens fees, you're lucky to break even on your maintenance costs. So the carts is where the money's at. And I'm saying if we're 4 or 5 years into these carts, we probably need to start thinking of setting up an escrow account because not all carts are going to make a 10-year lifespan.
Yeah.
So that was my question. What's a lifespan? 10 years?
They will tell you that, but they don't all make it.
Yeah,
that
because
far.
what we did with school buses when I was on the board, it was 8 to 10 years. So what we did is we bought 3 to 4 buses a year.
Yeah.
And so we always, the oldest ones, obviously they're all the same age right now, but if you were to buy, let's say 3 or 4 golf carts a year, instead of putting the money in escrow, that way you're not having to replace all of them at once. So you're keeping a rotating and you get rid of your oldest ones.
But the biggest cost on the golf cart is the battery, and you do have to replace those after, well, sometimes 2 years, sometimes 4 years, depending. So we have that cost, and we're talking about 75 carts that eventually.
Yeah, I think we're getting into kind of more, this is more council capital type planning. I mean, and I don't want to confuse you guys, there is no escrow. We have general fund,
right.
we have general fund, we have enterprise funds. So our enterprise funds, because we run as businesses, they're separate funds, separate from our general fund operations, which run police, fire, service, parks and rec. Our wastewater treatment plant is an enterprise fund. Our golf course is an enterprise fund, and our fitness center is an enterprise fund. So when we talk about subsidizing, we subsidize the fitness center, we subsidize the golf course. The money we're making, again, there is no separate account to like push it into. If we're talking about funding the purchase of golf course at a future date, that's just going to come out of planning and general fund operations, because we're going to be just when you see increased subsidies year to year in enterprise funds, it's typically because there's capital projects, golf carts, tractors, mowers, whatever it may be. If you see $52,000 one year and you see $350,000 next year, we probably had to buy a lot of equipment on that $350,000 a year. So that's kind of what you're going to see from a pattern standpoint.
Yeah, I know that we're starting to get far enough down the road to start considering having to budget stuff.
Yeah, and Brian does a very good job of, I guess, maintaining those carts and watching them. And again, he's been very proactive in making sure that, they're still in great shape. So as long as we keep replacing batteries and they keep running, we're gonna keep running them.
Okay.
Speaking of the batteries, I just wonder what kind of like percentage of are we looking at 9, 10? We purchased what, 80 carts?
We have 80 carts.
Yeah. Are we looking at maybe 10 carts a year where we're looking at batteries, or?
So the carts went into circulation in fall of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at 3 full seasons. By the end of this one, you have 4 full seasons. So your batteries, which is 6 batteries per cart, our warranty is up in June. So we haven't paid a dime for anything so far.
Right.
So that process of getting those, approximately an hour to 2 hours testing on those batteries. So they've been doing that since day one. So we have some money budgeted this year to start replacing batteries as they're needed, but that won't start, at least out-of-pocket costs, till July. And so each year, you guys have to realize we average about $250 to $275 on cart revenue.
Right.
We paid $410.
Yeah.
And by the time we're done replacing the batteries, I hate to say it, as long as I'm there, these carts are going to go 15 years.
Yeah.
So we just do, grease them all, we DI it, we do everything possible.
Yeah.
So we
Great
just have to
carts
replace
with
the
black
batteries.
seats will look good for a long time.
So we track them by keeping records of we keep maintenance records.
Correct, we have those
We track
downstairs.
those by the cart number.
Mhm.
So if one is costing us more money than the other, we're able to look at that relatively quick.
Correct,
Okay,
yes,
yeah. They're making us money right now.
Oh, yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Does anyone have any other questions?
So just for clarity though, so we talked about geese.
Oh,
Are we gonna do anything about the geese, or are we just gonna continue with the direction we're going? So I guess I'm kind of like, so we talked about it, are we gonna take action and talk about it next meeting, or is there gonna be any?
I think,
I'm just trying to.
yeah, from my understanding, what I've heard, I think Jim is doing all he can do to
Yeah.
do what he can. If it becomes, I guess, an overwhelming problem, he'll bring it back to us, right?
Okay.
Or do we want to look into the
Culling.
culling, I guess? At least price it out and see what's involved with that and what kind of data they have to support, like how effective it is versus what we're doing, or I don't know.
Right.
Just so that, So we don't talk about it and then we come back and we talk about it again next meeting?
Yeah.
Like, are we, maybe look at pricing and see?
I think it'd be a large expense that probably wouldn't work long term.
But if we have the data to say like, 10 golf courses have tried it, it cost them $100,000 and it was only 10% effective, then we know, okay, yeah, that's a bad choice. But if we don't have any information to.
I sort of think we should see how it goes.
No, I think we need to do a little bit more than just sit here and see how it goes. But I don't think we need to put tons of money into it. I think we could, I'm telling you, Jim, those things they put up in the Beechwood
I know
school system.
we tried at some of the swans. We did not try the owls, we tried swans. We can try coyotes, but I'm guessing the residents most likely are going to call City Hall.
Sure.
Probably the police, and then with O'Brien or me. But if this board wants to or the mayor wants to, I don't know if that would be with the housing development, if that's something, I'm open to it, but I could try it, but also I think they got to be moved a lot, and we can move them in the morning, maybe pro shop staff.
Yeah, but the one thing you got to do,
Got to keep them moving.
the guy that was moving them was moving them when the geese weren't around, so they didn't see him and relate that thing to him. Okay?
So you need to go out there at 3 a.m, Jim.
Right.
Either that or find
So-
some guy to do it.
I mean,
Or
So do we have a relationship with other golf courses that we could maybe call them to see what the best
I've
actually
already
thing?
done that research
Yeah, okay.
10 times over.
this isn't a new problem.
Conversation,
This-
but like I said, we've tried, we've done everything we possibly could, and we have done a roundup one year, but I know the residents were really upset because they thought that we were hurting the geese. John, you might have heard about that. We were actually on the news that
Yep.
year, and they were very upset with the city. Channel 5 came out because a lot of activists came out and animal rights people came out, and it was not good media coverage. So after that time, we did not round them up anymore.
And at that time, we were not responding to them by saying that every goose dumps 1.5 pounds of crap every single day. And what it does to the water supply and what it does to the grass, the acidity of it all, they are filthy creatures. And hey, I'm next to Yule Gibbons on the naturalist scale here. But they're a nuisance and they're filthy.
You had a great point too, and we talked about this a little bit the other day. I mean, we have some on the golf course, but there's also some at Liberty Park.
Oh,
They're at the
yeah.
high school across the street. They're
Yeah,
at Corbett's
I mean,
Farm.
This is a
It's not the
citywide
golf
problem.
course, so you can spend
Yeah.
money, which, and then it doesn't work because it's a citywide problem,
Yeah.
not just a golf course.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about going, letting Yosemite Sam go out there with a shotgun and start getting rid of them. I do it as humanely as possible, but it is a nuisance, and I know this, that my backyard in the morning it looks like the opening scene to Bambi. I mean, I've got deer, I've got skunk, I've got raccoon, I've got coyotes, okay, and then I have the geese. And the geese are the loudest, so, but yeah, Mayor, if something comes up, I know we don't have a naturalist, so I don't know where we go with that. If Stanley were here, I'd say, Stanley, what the heck can we do here to get rid of them? And, it is an issue. It's something that we need to take a look at because, we spend a lot of money. We spent a lot of money to have Kent State come out and plant all those lilies in our ponds, and they get in there and the acid gets in there and starts ruining the lilies. I mean,
I don't think anybody disagrees that the geese are a problem. This is an ongoing issue that Jim, trust me, it's at the forefront of Jim's mind every single day. So you're not bringing up a new topic. And when we talk about significant expenses to try to get rid of geese, I mean, this is just me personally. I mean, Jim has done a very good job of minimizing his capital expenditures over the last few years. And there are things that we need to buy at the course versus trying to scare off geese. If we're gonna spend $100,000, I'm sure there's 2 or 3 pieces of equipment you could name right now that you could use the money for. So, you know, you kind of balance that. I mean,
You know, but same token, you know, when we get to the point where you can't walk down the fairway, then the golf.
I don't think we're at that point there, John. I mean,
We have been.
Oh, yeah.
We have been.
I mean,
I'll tell you what, Mayor, I'll tell you, from the 150-yard post into the cart path on 18, you couldn't walk for a week. You could not go anywhere. And then up on top of the green, and you know, I don't want to maximize, you know, sensationalism here, but it's a problem, and it's, you know. And as a golf advisory board, I'm looking out for what best suits golfers. You know, I want as many people to come to our course as possible for a lot of reasons. You know, because number one, I love the course. Secondly, you know, it's ours. It can be profitable, and you know, we should do everything we can to make it that way. So. I'll continue to talk to Jim about that, and maybe some DNR guys, and, you know, see what we can do. Yeah, we've kind of belabored this point a little too long.
John,
Okay,
I have one other thing I
Okay.
want to ask Jim, and it doesn't have to do with any creatures, okay? We have two, memory serves me right, we have 2 spots on 2 greens where we consistently lose the greens, okay? Is there any, that bothers me because that's just, anybody that plays there sees those browned out black spots on the green, and
I agree with it. It's a small spot, maybe 2 feet on the back of 16 green, and maybe a 2-3 foot spot on the bottom left of 16 green. And the way those 2 greens are designed is everything falls to that area.
right, I mean, is there a way that we
So we're
can
looking at that to raise that, or maybe we could do some sort of a drain.
just put a trench in there,
Yeah, try and get a
get
trench
that
in
water
there.
drained?
I agree.
I mean, that's,
And that's actually on our list, on our to-do list, on those 2 greens too, Brian.
Okay.
So thank you
Okay.
for bringing that up.
the, as we've talked, I've talked with the mayor when I was on council about the golf course. I think we both agree that we would like to make our golf course the municipal country club. But in order to do that, we have to make sure that we take care of the things like a country club does, okay? And that's tough for a municipal course because
I usually have about a staff of 30, not
not so much, but they don't have to pay.
26.
They don't have to pay
Yeah.
what we have to pay, okay?
Yeah. And a lot of those clubs too will have a full-time staff of 10 full-time maintenance workers.
I was gonna make a suggestion. I remember watching a special about I can't remember which one of the British Open courses, but they actually have a group of 10 or 12 volunteers. They go out and take care of things like, you were out putting ball washers out the other day, okay? I mean, that group is what they do, is they go out and they trim around the yardage markers, they put the ball washers out, they make sure there's water in the things, and they actually have their own little clubhouse that they have in a maintenance building, and they get to play. That's all they get in I mean, this is a British Open, in the rotation for the British Open. I mean, maybe we could do something like that. I know there's a problem with having non-employees operating machinery. Like, is there not? Like, we wouldn't want to put them on a mower or things like that.
It gets a little
But
touchy.
I mean, to go out there and make sure that our drains in the courses are always open, to make sure that the yardage markers are visible, and cleaned around, I think that would be great. I understand it's tough for you guys to do it on a full-time basis because you don't have enough guys, but on the other side, we can't afford to really increase our maintenance budget that much. So how do we?
Well, that's what's interesting. We talked about having a country club type atmosphere for municipal. Well, obviously there's cost to that. Without a doubt. And being a municipal, I know we're a lot better municipal, with our predecessors. But I agree, and it's great that you recognize, because you're out there, Brian, and same with John, the amount of work that we have to do out there on a small scale. So what we do, we prioritize it, and then eventually we get to those areas, but it's just something we can't do daily. And
But Jim, my challenge to you is to figure out how you can do that, or how we can get it done in the city without increasing the cost for your maintenance budget. Volunteers. I mean, if they got volunteers over there, I don't see why we can't get some people
And I think
volunteers.
that's challenging too, because we don't have too many carts. We have no vehicles for them. They would have to walk. All of our guys take our equipment. So volunteer-wise, they'd be walking, and then our guys are using tools, and then they would need them. And then you have the problem of somebody getting injured. It's not like being a starter or a ranger.
Right.
So
Hey, those guys can get
You
hurt.
know, we've talked about, we've talked on the maintenance end, it's a lot. We've talked about volunteering before, but I think on past HR directors, and we did look into it, it was kind of mixed because of the same with service. They have a lot of busy work. Could service get a bunch of volunteers? Kind of the same concept. I think the maintenance end is just a lot different.
All I'm saying is I think there's a way to do it. I think you have to be creative and go outside the box to get this stuff done. And until those things get done, my opinion is we won't be that municipal country club. We'll be a nice golf course that ends up number 8 in the top 10, but we're not going to.
And the good news is too, obviously, I live, eat, sleep, and breathe Glen Eagles. I'm there constantly. I do about 55 to 60 hours a week. I work 7 days a week out there.
Right.
So with that being said, with the ball washers and the trimming, we want to get all that done, but we're still going to do our rounds.
Right.
Somebody's not going to play because something's not edged. We want it edged because we want it right. We want it to look good.
Sure.
But as far as the rounds, we're not going to lose money because of that. So I just want to make that clear that look what we did the last 3 years. But obviously we want to do it. I want to do it. I'm a perfectionist. I want it done, but it's challenging because I don't have 30 people. So I see everything that needs to get done out there, but we have to prioritize it. And greens, tees, and fairways are the utmost important. And then we work to those areas, because if those areas aren't maintained, we're going to be here talking about those areas and not ball washers and edging and those sort of things. So I'm glad that's the subject line we're talking about, because that means I'm managing the crew correctly, because the playing areas are getting done right. We're prioritizing. So I do want to get those areas taken care of, and we do, but it just takes us time to get to those areas, especially when we get the high school kids and college kids in. Then we can really start getting the trim work done and those type of things that you just mentioned. But right now, I just simply can't do it without sacrificing the golf course in another
Once
way.
again, my challenge to you is to figure out how to get it done as inexpensively as you can. And if it takes volunteers, fine. The same thing with getting people with dogs out there to chase the geese. I mean, we've got to do something. We obviously can't really, we can't increase your budget a whole lot more to have that done, but it's things that need to be done.
I agree. And they get done.
I think I have faith in you that you can figure it out. It's just, how do we do it?
So are we that grossly understaffed on the golf course? I mean,
Yes.
what is a typical,
At the moment, yeah.
what should we be operating? And I mean, that should be the goals. We need to get the golf course. I mean, I know that,
Not going to happen, Ken.
well,
Not right
it's a
now.
business. It's a business. You got to run it right.
Right now, we're understaffed on Jim's side of things, on Brian's side of things. Our service department season is understaffed. We're worried about having enough lifeguards to open up the pools. So,
Because
yes,
you can't get the employees, or because
we cannot.
have enough money in the city budget?
I
I mean, no, I'm
We
trying to
can't-
understand
we
what's the
can't-
challenge. Okay.
We can't get the employees, and So that's why I said earlier, we were evaluating our starting salaries and those kind of things. Again, we went up almost $3 an hour, which had an impact on everybody's budget, going up that for the seasonal part of how we operate. Because we did it across the board with camp counselors, everything.
Right. So if we're unable to get seasonal help, would it be advantageous then to look at getting them another full-timer in there? And I know that that's an expense on the city budget, but you're going to potentially get somebody then that, is going to be there 365 days a year. Because seasonal help is seasonal help. They're not going to be reliable. They're going to be college kids. They're going to show up. So, I get it. 'cause
I think we're,
In your best year, how many full-timers did you have?
Full-time with city
Full-time.
benefits. At
Full-time?
one time, we had myself, mechanic, and assistant, and 2 full-time maintenance, 5.
Okay, so you had 5 full-timers,
Now it is myself, a mechanic, and assistant.
okay? And you could hire up to how many seasonal in your best year? 18?
Maybe, 15 in that
Yeah.
area. But also too, and this is where the mayor's coming from, and Brian, we all know, let's just all face it, there's politics to the golf course. I try and stay out of them. But we want one thing with all the conditions, but then when we start asking for the money, everybody gripes about the money. So where do we want it? Yet we want a country club, but then when we ask for the money and full-time employees and capital, we don't get it, and we're asked to lower our budget. So the bottom line is what we're doing, I think the way Brian and I are operating is that it's a municipal community golf course. We want to give something back to the community. It's 200 acres of open green space for the community that people can go and play and enjoy. What do we want? Do we want a country club, or do we want a municipal golf course that can do 37,000 rounds, or do we want a standard like this that's still going to do 37,000 rounds? You can only put so much golf on the golf course. So I guess we have an obligation, and I like to be fiscal responsible too, to the city. I'm a resident, and I want to try and keep our expenses down. And I supported the reductions of our full-time staff because I understand the administrative side on going to these meetings. And so reducing staff hurts. I don't want to see anybody lose their job. But I also understand that, as Mr. Steele mentioned, that we have to watch our budget and we have to lower costs. And this administration and us, we work together to do that. And so yes, we're short-staffed, but an example is, and I appreciate you too, Kathy, saying that, hey, we're full-time help. A full-time maintenance, we're union, so a full-time maintenance worker is at $23 an hour, so that's roughly $46, and then 30 in benefits. So it would cost the golf course about $76,000 for a full-time maintenance worker.
Right, but what was the percentage of raise? What are we giving what are the employees getting? And I know this is more of a.
Yeah, we're getting like way off the
But I guess what I'm
advisory
saying-
boards.
But I
know,
understand.
purview
what
here.
I'm saying though, Ted, is they're doing record numbers with a skeleton crew. And so, for example, on the Board of Education, we were giving 1 to 1.5% raises to our employees, and if the city's giving 3%, that's pretty significant, but then you can't afford $80,000 for them to have an employee. That's not good business. Like, good business is, if that department is thriving and they need more help, you got to give them more help. And I know this is maybe not an advisory thing, but you can't ask them to work 70 hours a week. That's unreasonable.
We're way off of
I know,
what this budget, or what this committee is supposed to be talking about. I mean, you want to have those conversations, you're welcome to come to council at a caucus meeting, and you can talk about these things. I mean,
But it's relative.
if you let me finish talking.
I'm not done talking now. If he can't get the job done with the amount of employees that he has, then something's got to give. And that's all I'm saying. You got to provide your employees with the enough resources to complete their jobs. And if you're not giving them, then I'll stop at that. That's all. That's my opinion. And I think that's good business. Doing other.
Mayor, it might be a good time if you would forward to me what the charge of the committee actually currently is, because it has changed. It went from a 5-person board to a 9-person board, okay? The advice at that time also took into finances and things like that. And I know that it has changed. So in order for us to run a most effective meeting, if you could just forward that to me, and I'll be a little better prepared for our next meeting.
Sure.
Okay?
I'd like to say something as well too. I've sat here, I'm new, obviously everybody know, and I've listened to what everyone has said. I golf pretty regularly. We're number 8 in the state as a golf course, and we're bringing to everyone's attention that there's geese on the golf course. There's a certain spots on the green that has to be a little better. Now, I've played Roses Run, I've played Grantwood, all around the city of Cleveland. I've been all over. I think that you guys are doing a phenomenal job with what you have. Okay, so if we could understand that and deal with that, and if we have any recommendations that needs to be done to enhance what we already have, because we have excuse my language, a damn good golf course. With customer service that's outstanding. We could have a few more open tee times, because I've called and unable to get a tee time. But damn, we're doing a great job. So let's look at it from that perspective, and then come together and say, let's have some recommendations on what we can do to enhance. Maybe we can get the dogs out to chase the geese, but they don't bother. I'm gonna be honest with you. When I'm on the course, I'm in the league with a 105 guy. That's the last thing that's on a golfer's mind. And if the geese is in the way, shoo them out the way. You know, it's an inconvenience to move crap out the way when you got a putt that's worth about $20. I'm gonna get. You have a putt that's on the green that you have to. But we're doing a great job. So I would say let's tackle one of the things that are bothering us the most, and not worry about, I think, the other thing.
And that's what we do, and that was well said. We appreciate it, and that's why we're prioritizing, just like you said.
Absolutely.
I would like to see the things taken care of. I don't want to increase the budget and the costs for Jim. I'm not out there saying that they're not hustling their what's off up there, because they are short now. They won't have, probably through the summer, I don't think Jim's going to have enough summer seasonal help. Okay, but is there a way that we can get those issues dealt with as inexpensively as we can? And if we come up with, if it's a $200 expense to get a couple of those coyote things and put them out, then I don't think that's a big expense. Do I want to see us spend, put 2 of those on every hole? No. Okay, because we know which holes the geese, there's probably 15 out of the golf course where they don't go. Okay, but we need to, I just feel that we can make our course better. I mean, way back when, the mayor, myself, Bill Fury, and Mr. Gadinsky, when we were talking about our clubhouse, we went over to a course over north of Pittsburgh called Cranberry Highlands. And I'll be honest, it was a breath of fresh air to go over and look at that course. Okay, was it newer, Cranberry Highlands? I think that's been around longer than, or shorter time than we have.
Yeah, it's probably newer.
Okay.
It's been there longer, but it has been owned by the township.
Cranberry.
Yeah, Cranberry
West.
Township. It was up and down all around, and it just seemed to me going there that it was in really great shape. John and I have talked about it. Maybe we're too into our course. We're too close to it because we play a lot.
Yeah.
And we've been playing up there for 20 plus. He's been playing it since it opened.
Since day one.
Yeah. but we'd like to see as inexpensively as we can and take care of some of the long time things that have been out there. I mean, we've got some places out in fairways that have been bare and collecting water, and we can't get the grass to grow in it right now. All of those things have leaves sitting in it, and I'm sure that can't be good for the turf to have leaves in it, but Jim, I understand. You don't have the people right now to go out and get the leaves out.
But we did on 3, and we've started to, we see those areas on 3, so we're starting to get around to those spots.
And again, we're
But I
early in
agree,
this.
you're right. I mean, and then
You are.
the seasonal staff that we do have too as well, and I don't want to keep going on this, but, you know, I have a few retired guys, which are great, or females, and younger kids, and they work 2 or 3 days a week. These aren't 40-hour, 25-year-olds. So with even the 9 or 10 we're talking about, these are guys in their upper 60s working 20-plus hours. They're not going to go out. They're operators. They're not going to do grunt work. And thank goodness we have them, because they are great, great operators, and they keep that golf course going for us. Because if I didn't have those retired individuals on our golf course, it would not be number 8. They're the ones keeping us alive right now with mowing. If I don't know what we would do if I didn't have those retired individuals right now.
Yeah, well, and most of the guys have
Huge impact.
been there a long time.
They have.
I mean, their faces I recognize all the time.
They
So.
do a great, they do a
I've been playing
great
this
job.
for 18 years. I moved here 19 years ago. And I've been playing Glen Eagles. And I could see the improvement.
Sure.
And as far as customer service is concerned, as far as the field is, I can see it. All I'm saying is this: if once we get started, as you said before, fix the greens, you know, concentrate, because it's in pristine shape as far as I can see. Not pristine, but it's very close to being an A-list course. Very close.
That's, the goal always was,
Yeah.
from the day the city took it over, was to get us into the top 5 Cleveland Metropolitan Muni courses.
So are we there? I know we're 8th in Ohio, so we would have to be very close to being 5 or better.
Well,
Think what a full-time employee would do.
Well-
I'm just saying, I just think another body.
it's a little early for that, but I'll tell you what, we'll find out by the 4th of July.
Absolutely.
But I
It's
think, you
very
know,
early in
and I
the
think
season.
that's-
rankings
And for it to
aside,
be
though,
very early in the season is playing damn good.
it's great to be ranked, but it's also a community public golf course, and it's a business. And if we're doing 37,000 rounds, I don't care if we're ranked 100. If we're doing 37,000 rounds and we're happy with the conditions and we're breaking even, we're doing our job. And that's what I would, sure, we all want to be ranked, whatever, but that doesn't mean we're not
No.
doing our job.
No, and being fiscally responsible and all that sort of stuff, you know, when we start comparing ourselves to the other public golf courses around versus what you have to pay to play our course, you know, that's the fact, that's the wow factor for a golfer. You know, remember Andy Romito? He wouldn't drive, you know, 2 miles down the road if he was going to save, if he couldn't save at least $2. Okay, and he wanted a free hot dog and a drink with it.
I think Brian had a great point in his presentation when he said we have leagues waiting to get in.
Yes.
What's that say about the course?
Yeah,
I mean, we talk about it. If we have a waiting list to get in, that's pretty good.
as I said back in March,
Pretty good.
this is a public amenity. It's no different than our swimming pool. It's no different than public gardens. It's no different than, you know, the fitness center. It is something to provide the residents with, you know, at an affordable rate. And that's the other thing, you know, and I know, because I spent half the year in South Carolina, I know what the affordable rate is. And trust me, we're cheap. Okay? You know, if I want to go play a public course, you know, where I'm at down there, I'm looking at $65 at a minimum. So
We have guys that I play with, like this weekend, we're playing Roses Run. I made 5 tee times. Their prices, I think it's $56. Of course, in my opinion,
Nowhere close to us.
nowhere close to what we're doing.
I won't play there anymore.
Nowhere close. But it's because we're like I would say a traveling club. We play around. So we play in Sleepy Hollow. The only ones that I can say that maybe maintain it a little bit is the Metro Parks. They blow off the greens. They do that, but their fairways is nothing compared to what we have.
I think
And I'm-
all that aside, and again, Mayor, if you would be so kind as to forward me some stuff on that, because I want to make sure I know what our actual charge is as an advisory group now, because it has changed. I mean, at one point in time, we were a hiring committee. We were hiring these guys. Okay, another time we were out there, we were setting the rates. You know, this committee was. It's not in our purview to do that anymore. I just want to make sure that I don't overstep our bounds, but I want to make sure that we have enough latitude to make positive recommendations to these gentlemen and to City Council, so that we can move forward. You know, coming out of the pandemic, you know, everybody's short. You know, and we're going to deal with it for the next couple of years. So I you know, I can't belabor that, but I do think it's within our grasp to be a very good golf course, and that's what we want. And you know, we'll move from there. We can make our recommendations on what we see, and you know, for the betterment of the course. And like I say, because we are no longer, and certainly you can gavel me when we start talking about banquet facilities and restaurants, because that's got nothing to do with us, other than the fact that I want guys to get a cup of coffee and have Gatorade available.
Fair enough.
After that, they're on their own, but I think most golf courses provide that, so.
I would like that as well.
Yeah.
If you're going to email it.
Yeah, and I will forward that to people.
Thank you.
For sure.
Anybody else have any other comments, questions? Otherwise, if not, I believe our date. Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong here. It says July 19th. Is council not in session then, or is it? Are you on vacation? Is that vacation?
I don't know.
They would not be in session.
So I'm thinking, you know, first of all, can we get in? You know, if we can have a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
It's also running.
Okay, well, okay, I just want to make sure. Okay, then I will double check that and
You know, and
prior to.
and there'll still be meetings going on, even though council's not in session. and
Okay.
they'll still be pending, so the council rep would still, Greg
Our,
Allen.
Greg Bellin is our council rep, okay,
Yeah. So this will probably be my last meeting
okay.
I get to share with you, so.
Off to the Keys.
Off to the Keys. No golf course, I'll miss it.
Yeah, you gotta go about
I gotta-
15 miles to get a golf
Yeah.
course.
More
I
than
get to
that.
Finally,
There's a
70
course in Isla Morena.
no, there's a golf course in Key West and you gotta go up to Homestead.
He
Oh,
was,
Key West is the closest
Yeah.
place for a
Key
golf
West
course.
and probably Key West or there's up toward Miami and Homestead.
Yeah, okay.
So where I'm going is about an hour from there. So.
You're going to
in any
the
direction.
world's best tarpon fishing.
Yeah, the sports fishing capital of the world,
It
it calls
is.
itself.
It
So
is.
I was gonna, when we were talking about the
If-
white sports place.
If we have no other business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You see me.
Second it is, okay.
Gotta use this.
All right.
Yeah, let me catch one of those on a fly fish, on a fly line.
Do I have, can I get everyone's email?
Absolutely.
Sure.
Here, and I'll just,
Right.
here, I'll just put it on this sheet.
Take it. I got it.
Nice.
Do you have email, or have they taken you out of internet jail now, so?
Yeah, you can't,
Okay.
well, you can even Facebook me now. I got back on Facebook. I took my phone for a swim and lost all my passwords, and
Oh, wow.
it took a while for Facebook to actually believe that the driver's license I was holding up on the camera, trying to get back in the
It's you.
account with me. I don't know, maybe I should have taken the hat off and matched the picture.
Right.
It's
Good meeting.
nice meeting you. It's frustrating dealing
Introduce myself.
with our course.
John Gibbons.
I'm Antonia Webster.
Pleasure, pleasure.
I want to see our course improve. I want to see it. I don't want to see us,
I like
get
that.
get stuff that improvements that's going to cost the city an arm and a leg, because one of the things we face, because we are a municipality, when we have full-time employees and we got to pay the benefits,
Maybe I'll see.
our maintenance bill is maintenance budget
My wife's doing.
Right.
can be substantially more than
I'm on six.
private courses.
Right.
Okay. I'm up.
The
I
Yeah,
just,
that's-
I'm concerned with, that he's having to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, like, that's just,
yeah, but that's
I'm up here to
Kathy. That's the golf course business for superintendents. Now that we're in season,
yeah.
he's got to be there.
Yeah.
The nice thing that he's got is the fact that they hired the assistant who's got all the licenses for the chemical sprays.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to ask Jim, do you play?
I play a little.
Okay.
I was on a golf league a couple years ago,
Okay. One of the things
but
that is up at our course, I mean, I've played 4 times in the last 3 weeks. Okay. All at Glen Eagles. And we have our fairways look fairly good.
yeah,
Okay. But there are rough areas where it was a sea of yellow from the dandelions.
right.
Okay. Now, I understand we want to keep the fairways clear, but you're going to fight a never-ending battle if you don't kill the dandelions over in the rough,
Right.
because they're just going to go to seed and it's going to come back in the fairway, and you're going to have to, do it all over again.
Right.
But the other thing that I have been told, and I assume, is the price of the chemicals to take care of stuff like that, the herbicides and stuff, that's gone up.
Father's Day.
Oh, everything's gone up.
Yeah.
I mean, everything. I mean, it is what it is.
And I'm playing with my sons, which I don't.
And to your point, I think volunteers is great,
And we went up and
but you can't even get people.
we had to bang on
I mean, you can't get. I shouldn't say you
Throw in
can't.
there.
It's hard to find
And,
part-time these
the.
days.
She's sitting.
But you could get, I think you could get 20 or 30 golfers that play there, and if you looked at them and said, you're gonna get 1 round
I'm not gonna get out there.
a month, okay, or 2 rounds a month, but you have to come in, log in, and do it's unfortunate to say, the grunt work around the thing. You can even have the golfers, while they're playing their round of golf, have the edger to go around the drains, have the edger to go around the tee markers. I mean, we all, 90% of the guys on the golf course now have the laser range finders, okay? But still, there are guys, I don't have one, okay? I rely upon the markings in the fairway on the course, whether it's the sprinkler heads or the tee box markers, okay? Although I don't do it that much anymore because I played it so many times, I know where my distances are. But you could have, the guy could have the thing that, on each hole as he gets there, take care of 1 or 2 of the tee box markers to do that. I mean, when was the last time you played up there?
So what is our role? I'm sorry, I'm used to
I'm trying
being.
to, I'm trying to figure this out.
Because like
It
for
took us
work, I was
3
like
years
building the ground,
of-
so like for me, we had,
Good seeing.
there was an issue.
It took
we had
us
to fix
3
it.
years
Like, you just don't
trying
talk
to
about
get
it.
Yes.
the
How are we gonna get
150
better?
markers in the fairways, the poles. Okay. I mean, that's not an expensive thing. You run over to Home Depot, you buy 2 sections of
Well, I mean,
pole,
like, there's
plastic poles,
chit-chat
and a
about
cap.
cars, like,
And
then
take
what's the point?
Okay.
I mean, and I know like,
So how do you
like
think?
what I was saying, but.
That's a great idea. So how do you think,
Jim deserves to be on the spot.
or what could we propose,
But some of the things
how
that Jim
can we
can't
get
control.
people
A lot of
engaged,
things
the
Brian
golfers?
can't control.
You gotta
Yeah.
ask.
Because
Then let's come up with a way to ask people to do
Right,
that.
but the thing is
Make a difference anyway.
we gotta get the city
Yeah, I
to
wanna
say,
know.
yes, what can they do? And the other side of it is
yeah, you raised rates.
I like Jim, but Jim's been very set in
What is-
his ways,
Oh,
Why?
okay?
yeah.
Why did you?
And
And it happens over time to all of us.
it's been a lot of,
Well,
if it
if we're
doesn't
only increasing the
have a
revenue
thought
by
of it,
$37,000,
it's not
is it
something
worth it?
that needs.
Why aren't we
Yeah.
doing things
Okay,
like,
when I was on
We did away
council,
with-
one of the things,
we did away with.
we have a great driving range.
Right.
Our driving range is
I'd like to see us
awesome,
go to
okay?
a
Our
play
putting green is decent,
for 20 rounds.
but we have no intermediate or within the shots,
You know,
what do they say?
I-
Drive for show, putt for dough, and getting on the green and chipping around the
The fee
green.
schedule.
I got him
Right, so we all went up.
to finally mow a place
And I
down
know
next to the
golf prices.
putting green,
Uh-huh.
okay?
Just.
Put some flag sticks in it, so, and
That's
I
what I
wanted
thought.
him to, just put concentric
That's what I'm
circles on
thinking.
it.
Like $2
So that
people
you,
would be like,
and then
alright.
mark them, that this is 40 yards to that
Like,
pin, this
it's
is,
just $1.
so that you can practice your chips.
Right.
The other
Okay,
thing I want
because
to
you
do
really
is-
don't want them doing it,
Is that we have so
doing it
many
to your
leagues.
putting green,
Right.
because if it's wet,
The tee time.
it's gonna put ball marks in.
Right.
I can't just call
So-
it play golf.
That happened for a year, and now it's not there.
I mean, we've got
It's
leagues.
not that big of a thing to go out there and just, because you don't have to have it flat,
And
you don't have to have it
I understand.
green quality,
That's
Right.
to
Okay.
to
Um,
pay bills.
but it
Yeah, we
lasted
go a little
for all of
copper top,
maybe
copper
a
top.
year while I was on
All they do is
the
add it.
council, and it's gone.
Yeah.
They,
I don't know.
I know.
they were old flag sticks, that, they were left over from, they put new ones in, they kept 3 or 4
Of
of
course,
them.
Yeah, I
Do
don't
you ask why
understand.
it's gone?
that's because of,
Because, and I'm sure Jim is gonna say, because
so,
I don't have the maintenance people to take care of it.
so. Now,
But that's,
okay,
that's something we should add to our list.
I mean, I think that there's some
Right,
things like.
there isn't anything that I
like
would
even
want to
like with
do
the golf
to
carts, I know that,
track from
but
it.
why,
I want to
so
make it.
the best case
Yeah.
scenario is.
How can we do it
you're
when
gonna
we
have
were
to
on a limited
spend
budget?
$100,000,
I
but
mean,
it's gonna be
like I
more than
said,
that.
the British Open is one of the big 4 championships, and this one Royal course
Like you should be doing with.
has
all
these
of this
volunteer
stuff instead
maintenance
of being
guys,
like,
and they
oh,
go
you
around,
have $1 million.
and they're the guys that
originally.
put the rocks back into the rock gardens when they go around. They
Yeah,
make
this
sure
is-
the chains that are out there are in
City
good
Hall
shape
kind
and
of-
taken care of.
They blew the
Yeah, I
whole
don't
thing
want
with the whole building.
Huge maintenance things, but
We're
the-
stuck with that
the
for
little,
25 years.
how do I
That's all
say,
there
it,
is
the
to
little piddly thing.
Well, no.
it. We were supposed to,
And I
Right.
think that we should,
if we buy 75 carts, that's a
in the
fee.
grand scheme of things,
Uh,
it's gotta be something huge
Pay it off
for
over
a
2
change
years.
to occur.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
Also,
if,
well, they paid it all off.
when we come together, we
Yeah.
have a list of things
Which,
or enhancements,
especially,
right?
especially when we don't,
And if that's our
we don't
top
have that
enhancement,
overflow
then
money.
it should
It's
be
about
addressed.
$400,000.
You know, you have to make a list
Yeah,
just
and like why?
because people do not wanna not address
Right,
you.
there's a lot of things.
You know,
Yeah.
so if we make the list, I think everybody's like,
Well-
okay, just one, yeah.
How do you not,
I
how do you not know when they're gonna tell you when the tax?
I like
Like,
both of those guys.
For real? Like,
Okay,
They don't-
we also have a division of power.
right, but like,
between
it said there's
those.
only 250,000.
My feeling is
$75,000 employee.
The
So like,
pro
is
should be
$75,000?
general manager of the whole thing.
Like, that's what used to make.
well,
me
like
Okay.
you said, out of the
And
$50 million.
He should make the call about the way the courses are laid out.
Just a $50 million budget.
Okay.
It's a sore
See
spot
whether or not it's
in the entire
cart path
community.
only.
So you
So
have to
they
be
were
extremely transparent
separate.
about it.
Well, they're side by side.
I would
That's why I
be-
brought it
Okay.
up. I'm like, what are you
And
gonna, I'm like, do
they
you have a
answer
plan
to
in place if it
Ted.
does?
No,
No.
he doesn't.
Okay.
Well, yeah, because you're.
Ted, in the last couple of years since we built the clubhouse,
I said,
Um,
the message is all.
I think Ted has gotten through to Jim that
Message should
the more you say it's cart path only because the course is wet,
say,
Right,
the more the seniors are gonna go.
we're not talking about
Because
food and beverage.
seniors don't play
Right.
when they gotta walk on soggy
Right.
fairways.
The golf course, 'cause
Okay.
that's all the
Um,
city is concerned with.
And that costs us a
We
lot
have
of
a
money.
lease, they agreed to it, we're stuck
I
with it.
mean, when you're looking at,
So,
seniors, I think, pay
just to go.
30 plus for 18 in a cart,
Yeah.
and you lose 3 or 4
As they've been
tea
pushing
times an hour,
And other
you lose a
calls,
lot of money.
Yeah, it's not
the restaurant and the
So,
medical
but
facility.
we can do better. I really believe that we can do better up there, and we just got to
Cool, that bank facility.
get out of the box. If we do things the same way,
Yeah.
we'll always do what we're doing. You know, the definition of crazy. What's crazy? To do the same thing time after time.
And look for a different result, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know,
But no, I
maybe it's
think-
like
I
fair
think,
that it doesn't have a pop machine. I don't know, maybe it's like
gotta
tacky,
be-
I don't know. Like,
Prove his ideals, and I think
is it better than
that's your
nothing?
purpose.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there's a
Well,
little.
it-
you're
and-
you're
voiceover by
seasoned, you've
Columbia.
seen things, you know things, you.
The guy sets the coffee
When,
pot out
wait,
the night
Charles?
before, has it on the timer. Because he's got coffee.
wait a minute, I'll find it. I have a list of,
6:15.
Um,
The coffee pot's on the
was it,
timer.
carrier?
He's got cream and sugar out there and everything else because he's out there.
Well,
too many pieces of paper.
Whatever he's doing. Guys.
Andre.
throw that-
Andre.
When Andre said, you know, he's been playing up there for about 18 years.
And the
Well,
guys-
the course has really improved over this time
At
frame
the end of nine
because
holes,
the city owns it.
Right.
Up until then, it was a private golf course,
Right.
okay, and then we bought it.
I know it's.
Yeah, I did know that.
Yeah, John's been, he was the golf course, golf coach at the high school for years, okay? And he's played up there. I was playing up there when I was on the police department when it first
What's so
opened,
hard
Yeah.
about that?
okay? And let me tell you, it was a dog patch. It was terrible,
If you have to
okay?
put
We have
a
improved.
cooler or a machine out there.
I don't feel that we need to reach that plateau and then say we can't improve it
Right.
anymore.
No, I like your, the way you said,
Right, G?
What's
still
that?
can be improved.
How long have we owned the course? 20 years plus?
Oh, we're working on about 24, 25.
So, I mean, when Andre said that he has played up there and the course has improved every year for him, it has because we own it.
Yeah.
Because the guys that owned it
Let
before
me tell you, it was.
put nothing into it.
It was a gut wrench, it was terrible.
Yeah.
It actually was a cash cow for the guy on the table. And
Yeah.
all the money he made here, he put back in the table. He went belly up, and we got a good price. And our mayor at the time did a real, with one exception, did a real good job of negotiating. So we got the course, but the other thing is the course was in such bad shape, we paid $2.2 billion for it. And we took out a bond for another 2.2 because the turf was so bad. And we had to buy new machinery. And that particular mayor did not believe in leasing. He purchased everything. We argued, finally, for some time, we figured out we could get a lot more equipment by leasing, which we needed. And, but they financed it the wrong way. And we kept kicking the finances down the road. We ended up,
It took us
oh,
almost 18 years,
Yeah,
19 years to
almost
pay
19
off the
years.
original money that we financed.
should have been paid off.
We kept rolling it in with other things and going for this, a lower interest rate, but we started over again trying to pay it off.
We could have paid the whole thing off in one shot. We had money. But he was a little bit afraid. We had a big sewer project in 12 acres that needed to get done, so we wanted to keep the money back. The following year, we ended up with a $7 million surplus. We could have paid off the $2 million note and been operating in the black for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And then this debacle of the clubhouse banquet center restaurants, we're stuck with that for 25 years. And it's terrible.
So, Aaron and Moses,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so we're stuck.
Oh, we're paying. We're gonna pay.
We currently
For
pay,
25 year, we have a 25-year lease?
yep, no.
Well, it's a mortgage.
No,
It's a mortgage. We pay $33,000 a month
For that
in
building.
mortgage payments. And the lease we currently have in place with the restaurant gets us back $8,500 a month. They pay us $6,000 a month for rent and $2,500 a month for gas, electric, sewer, garbage.
Not,
So we
not until
pay,
next year.
we
No,
pay
they pay it now.
33 and they
Yes.
pay us 85.
So we're subsidizing it 20-some thousand.
And what Ted didn't say, I checked yesterday. At the end of this year, our back property taxes on the golf course will be $704,000. Now, he's right, it could be less than that, depending on what happens down in Columbus, okay? The problem with it is, it could be more, because there's a question about the course itself, that we could pay property taxes on the actual golf holes, because our lease, we gave the restaurant the drink carts. And the drink carts go out on that property.
Right.
And there's a question that could actually increase the property taxes. I called down to the Department of Taxation yesterday, and the girl that was handling it had it taken away from her, and it was given to somebody else, an attorney, and now they're starting over again, okay? At the end of 2023 is the year that the restaurant gets to say, we either it's based on, they have to have $2 million in gross revenue. If they're under that, it's their decision. City has nothing to do with it. They can walk away from us on that lease.
And then we get the building and we get the facility back then.
Yeah,
Right.
but
Now,
we saw how well we managed it.
Well, no, I'm saying like,
We were terrible.
And the way it looks, according to down in Columbus, we still will owe the back property taxes for the years that restaurant was in there, whatever they come up with.
So what happens to revenue from events?
Oh, that's theirs.
That's theirs.
they get it all.
So they get it all.
Yeah.
That's what Brian said, he's gotta shut down the golf course, that's why he charges $5,000. If Brian and I wanted to have a little golf outing, let's say 32 people,
Right.
cost us $5,000 to shut it down. We'll have the Victorian up there with 180 golfers, it's still $5,000. So,
Right.
I mean, because that's what he loses in revenue to shut the course down. for
Right.
the outing.
The other thing, have you been in the restaurant, Amos?
Yes.
Okay. That restaurant has 2 fully equipped kitchens. There's the one up by the restaurant itself, and there's another one at the south end of the building for the banquet.
For the banquet, right.
That, I mean,
Unless you have a wedding, you're not using it.
right. And if there is a wedding, we don't get a dime.
Wow.
I mean,
I mean, they're sitting in the sweetheart seat up there.
but we're stuck with it. And as I've said for the last couple of years, we need to change the message and make the focus, and particularly from this committee, it is the golf course.
Right.
You know, the only thing I care about, I mean, I think it's important that we have a cup of coffee and some Gatorade for guys on the golf course. Other
Sure.
than that, I could care less about that.
Right.
I don't like the way people are treated up there, golfers are treated. And you're like kindergarten. If you play early in the morning, you gotta go sit on plastic picnic tables. You can't sit out on the patio, they won't serve.
The restaurant,
The
yeah.
restaurant
Is
won't
it-
serve it.
Because no one's there, or
They just won't do it.
There's, when it first opened up, when the restaurant first went in, there's 4 or 5 movable planters that were bought. They put the flowers in it, and they literally move those onto the patio and form a wall
So you couldn't,
between the front part of the patio, so you can't see where you can see the golf course from, and where the golfers are supposed to sit and wind down.
and if you were forcing the golfers that went into the restaurant to sit down at the table, to just have a pitcher of beer, they wouldn't serve you, they'd say you have to sit,
Yeah, you have to sit outside.
you have to sit at the bar.
If you went into the restaurant at the start and just wanted a cup of coffee because you were out there playing and it was 45 degrees and you're cold and you want to warm up, no, sorry, you got to go back outside in the 45-degree weather. You can't come inside. If you're coming inside, you have to eat.
They don't, they're not, they don't care anything about the welfare.
No.
And quite honestly, if I was him, I wouldn't either, but
Well, I don't know if I would not care. I mean, because that's a big part of their
Well,
community.
What did they just say over there? 37,000 golfers went through there last year. If you can get $10 out of those
Each
guys,
one.
that's 400,000 plus. But if you alienate them, I mean, it doesn't sound, it sounds trivial, okay? But one of the things they did, they took out the beer that the golfers wanted.
yeah, they probably craft beer.
The number one beer that golfers wanted up at our golf course was Yangling. And they came in and took Yangling out right away. It was gone. They didn't want to serve it, okay? Pissed all the golfers off. So what do you think is going to happen?
Have we ever had a meeting with
No,
their
You know
leadership
what?
team?
absolutely not. Ted can't even get a meeting with them. He
Right.
said he met with their regional guys, because you know what, the head guy says, I'm not talking to you. He said, that guy said his flunkies.
There's a clause in the contract that I can't remember the way it's titled, but it basically says, as long as the restaurant fulfills everything that it's doing in the contract required, we can't go up there and talk to them.
Well, I mean,
That's why I thought it was really pretty crappy that our guys are moving chairs
Well, that's
and all
what,
that stuff for a wedding, and we can't even get a cup of coffee out of them, so.
yeah, like, I don't understand why, so they get the pavilion too?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I had a lovely wedding there, Ken.
Yeah, and Danny's wedding was great.
They had a great wedding.
Yeah.
I'll never say a bad word about what they did. They put on a great show. They really
Yeah.
did. But you know, I also know, you know, what it's done. You know,
So
our
the
stature.
picnic, the
is
picnic
low.
pavilion is closed off during no one can use it except for when they say?
If you rent it from them, yes. You can.
And right now, our chairs are still out in that pavilion from whatever wedding they had Saturday, whatever thing they had this last
They're
week.
using our.
so when they
The
rent
chairs
our
that are-
chairs, we don't get that money?
No,
No, we don't get anything. That's
they're
why.
plastic chairs,
Yeah.
but
That's why I think it's increasingly important for us to make the focus about the profitability of just the golf course. I don't even want to talk about the other thing at all. And
But I'm worried about that property tax because that's gonna be on the backs of this golf course.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it would depend on what's in our operating budget, right?
Well, it's still, it's $1 million, it's an expense on that course based upon the decisions that were made in relationship to that restaurant. So that is something that our council and mayor should have been charged with, knowing that your property tax is going to be significantly higher because you are not a public facility anymore, you are now a for-profit. So therefore you are going to pay premium property taxes. Now, we have to pay premium property tax on the 200 plus acres.
right now, they figure about 6,000 square feet is what Summit County originally taxed the building on when they made the assessment.
Okay.
And that was
2 years,
3 years ago. It was 3 years ago, starting in 2020.
what's
And-
2022?
Yeah, but we have 20, we owed taxes in,
Do we owe taxes in 19?
in 2020, I think. But the thing is if you really look at the numbers, the bizarre part of it is the restaurant has the right under their lease to renew it 2 more times for 5 years at a time. The city has nothing to do with it. It's the restaurant gets to make the decision
So
if they're gonna
it's
stay.
all up to the restaurant.
Yeah,
We have no right to say.
yeah,
We have no right to say they cannot renew, so
Right.
they're bringing in whatever.
The guy's good. Hey, look, the guy who runs that, he's got 20-some restaurants across the country. He's not in it to lose money.
Right.
So he's making it. And what we
The,
gotta get him to do is make it, more available for us.
Right.
The best thing that nobody will admit would be for the restaurant to leave at the end of 3 years, to have this guy pull out, and we shut the building down and just pay the $33,000 a month in payments. Because if we lease it again, now we have to pay the property taxes, which,
Right.
and we've already put out a lease out there where they don't pay property taxes.
Or you turn it into.
Yeah. And
No,
there-
I said, I'm telling you, you
turn it into what?
turn it into, like, it's not the ideal location, but like a teen center, and you have parents paying like $50 a month, and you get 1,000 kids, that's $50,000. Like, I mean, if you could do, and I work with kids, so I'm thinking like you could have all these kids running through. You could run so many different programs in there. But let's just say, so not kids, but if you can get 1,000 people to pay $50 a month, which whatever you do in that place, you got to get 1,000 people paying 50. Like you're making 50,000. You're not. It's not. We're not paying the property tax because now it's back to a public facility, and you're actually in the good for what? What's our payment? 32,
33? Yeah,
33,000?
it could
So
be
you're
more.
to the good for
The
20,
last
so
I
you're
heard it was
making
33.
$240,000 a year.
Or we could just have somebody come in and write a better lease. Because
Well,
we're just
I will
losing on the
give
lease.
You're
I
not
will
going to
give
get
Ted
anybody to
this.
rent that for $33,000 a month.
I will give Ted this, okay? We were stuck between a rock and a hard place with it because we couldn't make it work. We had so many problems when the city was trying to run it as a restaurant.
Right.
I mean, we had the management team up there. There was 3 people managing it, and each one was after one of the other 2. They were complaining. Ted looked at us one day on council and he said, "Listen, I'm tired of having every day I got one of those 3 coming and calling in my office complaining about one or the other. The other
Well,
guys."
you
That's
hired
not
a
it.
chef that knows how to run a restaurant, and the chef is the captain of the ship. He was not given the steering wheel.
Right.
That was pulled up. The assistant executive chef works directly under the chef. They work together. They create their menu. All of that was taken away from them, so they were frustrated. And before it even opened, they walked.
They both
They
quit
walked.
within
They
2
walked.
weeks.
And you had a totally unexperienced person be the
And then you
banquet
had a
manager.
banquet manager who has never done it before.
Right.
I'm friends with all those people. I know them all. I know
Yeah.
them all personally.
I asked him. I asked up here on who's doing the PR, who's doing the advertising. Do you have an advertising budget for this place?
Right.
No answer. You're going to do this. You have to put money into it. You have to advertise. And in fact, the guy that was doing the PR and the the online stuff for it, 2 years later, a couple of council members changed, and one guy that is in an IT manager for Sherwin-Williams came in. He looked around, and within 2 or 3 months, that guy was gone because he just looked around and said, "This guy's not doing a job." Okay.
So there's no advertising, there's no marketing.
There was
for the golf
nothing.
course.
Poor Brian put a
So
thing on
we're
Facebook.
pulling in 30, we're pulling in all this money with no advertising?
Well,
So,
the golf course.
The golf course. The thing is that our golf course has been established for all these years,
They
okay?
wanted to change the name of the golf
Golf course.
oh no, I like the history of the golf course.
course.
Well, there's only a couple other places, and he's played the one in Scotland, so Glen Eagles.
There's
But I
four-
mean, at
there's
the end
four
of the
more,
day,
so-
yeah, you got to figure out how that public facility can generate your minimum of at least come close to covering the expense of the mortgage, and whatever. I mean, put in the virtual golf and say we got to get 200 people in here a week spending $50
Well,
or $60.
The Ted looked at me one day and he said, "This restaurant is going to do $1,000 a day at lunch." Okay. My daughter used to own a restaurant bar. Okay, so I know what the numbers is. You do $1,000, that's about maybe $100 in profit.
Right.
You can't do 30 days at $1,000 a day for lunch and come anywhere close to what you're paying for that restaurant. Same thing, I looked at them, I said, figure out the numbers here, Ted. In order to do this and make this a success, that restaurant has to be packed every night from 7 to 10. Every table, and it's got to turn over every hour. Okay? I've talked to people that have gone up there, a couple of guys that I know, other retired police officers, they've gone up there with their wife, their 2 kids, and they said, we went up there, we had 1 drink apiece, we had our meals with the kids, and it was 100 plus. I'm not going back. I'm not.
And weddings, I mean, it's a gorgeous facility. There should be a wedding every weekend. Other places are booked. They should have we have, I think, 135 members in our chamber. Like every business in the Chamber of Commerce should be having their luncheons there.
But that's why the reason whatchamacallit was hired, Abby,
Right,
because she worked for the Chamber of Commerce, and the idea was she's going to be able to bring all those people in. Well,
She didn't.
never happened.
I don't think she tried. She didn't have to. There's no, so as an employer, like, you have to give your
Goals.
goals, and they have to meet certain quotas, and they have to do certain things as part of life, but if you're gonna get a salary regardless of whether you have 1 client or 100,000 clients, well, why would you? I mean,
One of the best nights they had when they first opened up, they made like, I don't know, $5,000 or $6,000 that night. Okay, and it was the night they put all of the senior citizens on buses and took them up there to introduce them to the new restaurant. It's like, well, look, we made all this money on this night. Well, sure, you drove all our own folks up there,
but you know what? Good. Do that once a week. Every Tuesday, we're bringing the bus around, and we're going to take you up to Aaron and Moses. Why not?
But does that, I mean, how does that benefit us?
Well, when we owned it, I'm saying when we owned it.
Now it wouldn't benefit us.
No.
No, now not at all.
no, unless we could charge those people $1,000 for the bus ride.
Nah.
It has been a how do I say this? It was a
Been a conundrum.
yeah. We could have done a whole lot better. When you go over to Cranberry Highlands, that golf course.
I've been there. I have friends in Cranberry.
Yeah. When you go out to their golf course, they have a grill room in the main clubhouse. They have a 200-seat banquet. Okay. They use it a lot. I don't know how they get people out there, but they do have people that are out there.
Cranberry's a little, and this was the thing that I always argued with Ted and Bill about. Cranberry's not Twinsburg. You have to remember that 70% of the people in Twinsburg have children, okay? 50% of them are all retired, okay? So, you know, you're dealing with a different clientele. You know, you gotta market to your
Everybody I
clientele.
know in Cranberry is retired.
Yeah, but I think Cranberry's much larger.
Well, and they're also a little more affluent than
Yeah.
Twinsburg.
Yeah.
So,
It is what do we do? How do we handle this?
and I'll send a thing out when I get a few days here, and, you know, because again, I didn't know, we do need to know about finances. I know Ted doesn't want to talk about it, but if we're going to advise, you know,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
you know, I want to know, you know, I want to know what Jim's
You need
budget,
some
I want to know what Jim's
foresight.
budget is. I want to know, you know, why did we get new mowers, when we don't have guys to run them?
Right.
If they're just sitting there.
We're pretty much at the point up there. We may be 1 or 2 mowers short of having a full set of equipment for both
Side of
nines.
the road.
There's no place that's equipped like that. No place.
And, my, I have very, very few, if any, issues with Brian, and never have, other than the fact that he has been under the guns and squeezed every nickel out of
Right.
it that he can. And quite honestly, you can't get a tea time. We need to leave some tea times. We did away with our memberships because a few people took advantage of them, and I think you could tweak that so you still get membership money up front at the beginning of the year, and you give an advantage to particularly seniors. Seniors in this town get a break for everything. They really don't get that much of a break at all. So, and I'm not saying that because I'm a senior.
No, I think it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of it is remember, we pay for that place with our tax dollars.
That's right.
We pay for the fitness center with our tax dollars.
Well, we're subsidizing it, yeah.
No, we paid to build that. We paid
Well,
to
yeah,
buy
yeah,
it
yeah.
with our
Right,
tax
correct, you're
dollars.
correct, yes.
But now, the conundrum is now what are we charging ourselves
After we
for something we've already paid?
Pay for it, right?
How do we keep it going? I just think there's got to be a different outlook set. When I was on council, I made the suggestion a couple of times. Expand the golf advisory board when we were trying to make the restaurant run. Expand the golf advisory board and get 7 or 8 extra people and have them be the rah-rah team for the restaurant. Okay? Have 5 or 6 people that play golf about the golf course, and the rest of them pushing the restaurant. Because when we first opened up the restaurant, the only people who put anything out on Facebook was the council members. And it got to the point where it was like, you can't
Yeah,
get
as a business, you have to be, and people don't realize, it's, you see, like when Sarah and me, I constantly, every day, putting stuff on social media, Instagram, you're constantly hitting people and sending emails out to people that had parties in, if you're coming up, oh, I saw you had your Christmas holiday party at our facility. What can we do? Let's get your contract signed for this year. We want to get it going, right? You don't want to miss, we only have a couple spots open. You have to keep the ball rolling constantly. You can't rest if you're.
I was right when we voted on building the clubhouse. I voted against it, and I read the thing out there, and I said, listen, 90%, 80% or 90% of restaurants fail in their first year. Okay, this will not fail because we will have to subsidize it. Okay, because we own it. The guys in the golf business back then, a lot of advisors were telling the country clubs, knock down your restaurant, knock down your ballroom, and just have a nice grill room for your golf course, your pool if you have it outside, your patio, but don't do those other things because it's wasted space and it costs you money. And I told them, I said, what are we going to do if this fails? Are we going to knock down the rest of the clubhouse? We can't because we still haven't paid.
Right.
Time to go.
Yeah.
I'm done sermonizing.
So it's very educational for me.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to one of the things that
Very educational.
Walk into the hot spot in the city, that's for sure. It is.
Very it's a great amenity.
It is
It's
very-
some things we have to
It's
figure out.
a great amenity, like I
And
said.
that's why, I know nothing about golf, but I did, for 4 years, I was building playgrounds, permanent improvement for the schools, and I know things that work really well, he just kept things going, I got through a couple ideas out of tonight, it's
One of the things that we have talked about having that fund, okay, that's what, one of the things that I always say about the city is we do not have good maintenance in our state. So when we do,
so why do we have to repair it?
but when we do it